any woman who's emotionally upset with a man, she goes right to a place of, I don't trust you.
John, you'll never meet a Jewish guy who loves Christmas more than me. Because I never had.
Yeah, well, it's a great holiday.
It's an amazing holiday. I like it a lot. Hi, Gopa. Hi, Petra.
Hi.
Hi, John.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Troy. Hi, Ava.
Hi, Rich. Hi, John.
Hi.
Hello. Hello.
This is our last call of the year. We get to celebrate together.
Sounds so dramatic.
Well, that's how I grab everybody's attention, is drama.
The last call.
The last supper. I mean, call.
Oh.
Hi, Francis. Great to see you.
Hi, Diane. Hello.
Hi, John. So good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hi, Diane.
Mitzi, are you there?
Hi, Richard.
Yeah, Mitzi. I saw Mitzi here.
Oh, she's got her picture up. She hasn't come in yet.
Morning, Clay.
Oh, there's Clay. Hello. Hi, Clay.
And Sherry and Emily and Wayne. Wow, we're all over the world. Hi, Sherry.
Opa. Everyone.
Hello.
We have so many great questions for you, John.
Great. I like questions. You know that.
I know. And so this was an amazing year for Mars Venus. It was an amazing conference we had a few months ago. And John, you never come in the winter, but it's really cold here right now. Really cold. So, yeah, we have a lot of people joining.
I would like to say hi to everybody and wish them a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, Eden.
Holidays.
Happy holidays.
And I even have my anniversary coming up between Christmas and New Year's is my 33rd. John, when I met you, I was only 20 years. Or no, less than that, 17. So 33 years. I was 11 when I got married. You all can tell, right?
It's funny, my mind, we said anniversary, but my mind went to age. I went, oh.
Yeah, no, my marriage. I'm really excited about that.
It's a good year.
So,
good year.
Wayne, you had a very interesting question that you emailed me. Wayne, you're on mute, but if you want to ask that question would be great. It's a very interesting question, John.
Okay, but before I get talking, you were going to review the year, how great it is. Did you want to say more?
Other than we have the most amazing coaches in the world that are right here on this call with us.
I'm good with that.
Hi, Lena. Great to see you from all over the world. Hi, Anya. We're literally in all the continents. And I'm just so proud of what you guys have done, taking John's work into the world and changing lives and changing your own life in the process. That's what I love about it. It makes us walk the talk. And so every time I help a client, I go, maybe I should do that too. That would be a good idea.
It not only makes us, but it makes it easier to walk the talk. You know, I find that always, whatever advice I give, I can go, I want to add that to my repertoire, or I'll look at myself and go, I can do more of that. It's always make it easier.
Yeah, it does make it much easier. I love it. So that's all. I just wanted to celebrate, and I wanted to make sure that they get to see you before the holidays, because I know you always get busy with your family and your new grandbaby, John. So Wayne, you had a very interesting question. Do you want to ask John?
Where is Wayne?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay.
Wayne is in Ethiopia.
John.
Wave your hand if you can, so I can see a hand moving. I don't see.
Hi, John.
Yeah, I know you're saying hi. Oh, there you are. All right, gotcha. Okay, I see you. Wayne.
How are you? Thank you for giving me this chance. My question was, how do you handle criticism? Because the last time I was on TikTok and this woman was she was talking about the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and I thought she was going to say something nice, but she just read one paragraph, one page of your book, and she was just trying to find the bad sides of them. And I was very pissed. I mean, I couldn't get over it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you handled it because for me, I don't know. I'm still pissed. And I wanted to write back, but I just didn't want to get into a fight. And
Good idea. Just walk away.
I don't know.
Walk away. But emotionally,
Yeah.
I know you were upset.
Yes.
And the thing about an argument is if the person you're talking to, this is just in general, if the person you're talking to is not receptive to what you're saying, you will only become more upset. That's just like the golden rule of relationships. And for men, we should multiply it times 10 to be dramatic. But when a man talks, and so, you know, he's sort of making, when we talk, we want to be right. We have a message, we want to be right. And when a man talks to be right, and it's not fertile ground to actually sort of hear the logic of what he's saying, or being open-minded to what he's saying, or being resistant. And any woman who's emotionally upset with a man, she goes right to a place of, I don't trust you. Men go to a place of, I don't care. This is our first stress response in relationships when we feel triggered with cortisol. Men become kind of mean and insensitive. And, you know, the FU word, for example, is really saying, I don't give a damn, I don't care. That's the go-to place for men. And I know women, you've all experienced that with men, where there's suddenly this dragon comes out. That means his stress response has been flared. He can't feel the tenderness in his heart. He can't feel his empathy or compassion at that time. And I'm pointing this out because this is a normal reaction for men. If somebody pushes me, I fall over, I'm gonna have first reaction is, I don't care. Now, it may not be emotionally fueled, where it turns into a big FU. It could just be, this is not important to me. This is boring to me. I don't care. What's the big deal? So what? So that's the more general kind of reaction, but that's where men tip to. They tip over to their male side without estrogen. The male side without estrogen, without femininity. See, he's caring about you. When he's over there caring about you, he's moving over to you. He's moving to his female side. And so when the female side rejects him, he goes over to don't care. So it's more of a detached state, pure testosterone, pure masculinity. If there was such a thing, there isn't, but temporarily, he'll leave his female side, go to his masculine side, and that's where he's like, no big deal, I don't care. And then if there's more emotional charge, meaning he's more threatened, now you got cortisol, it goes into big FU, I don't care. Now, the reason I'm spending so much time on that is, one is, and when I teach, I do this in a certain order, because every woman can relate to that happening where a man will detach or seem to become mean. And you know how devastating that is. It's kind of, is this who this person is? No, that's not who they are. That's what they tip over when they're not themselves. That's who they become temporarily. Now, some men, like, you know, they've been beaten down by life, etc. They didn't have loving mothers. They're in jail. They live in that state perpetually. When I taught at San Quentin, I brought in women and I had the men process women. Okay, that was an amazing, genius idea, which is like in my workshops, you know, generally the women go first where they share their feelings. I do that for a reason. It doesn't have to be that way with regular guys, but if some guy's really shut down, there's no way for him to access his vulnerable feelings until he's in the presence of somebody else being so vulnerable. And in most cases, his mother was not vulnerable. So I put a woman in front of him and give him the instructions to say, tell me what else, tell me what else. And I create through my visualization an exercise where the woman can talk about her feelings, go back to childhood, and he literally becomes like a father to her. This is a foreign experience for these men. And then when it's their turn, they go right into their emotions and they cry, they fall out of their chairs, they're massively dramatic, because what gets awakened is a massively repressed child. You know, any of these guys, they got so much pain from their childhood of not feeling love. So that's the place men go to, which is a detachment. and it has all grades to it. It can be, well, it's not a big deal. Why are we worried about this? Or what's the problem? To, well, I'm too tired to do that. All the way over to detachment without any emotion, without any feminine love, caring, happiness, joy, and then it's a big FU. Now, just to know, that's where men go. When women are in a cortisol response, they don't go to I don't care. That's much, much later. Okay, much, much later. The first stress response women go to is when they're having that cortisol is, let me balance this. When the man pulls away, he goes over to his pure testosterone side. He's just detached. He shuts down. Then if the dragon is poked, then his estrogen starts to go up and he becomes mean and cruel and destructive. All right. So that's the worst side of masculinity. What can happen to men if they just get poked when they're in the cave. That's why we never want to mess with the dragon in the cave. That's the saying of Men from Mars, which is it was from the American Indians. One of their traditions is when you marry a man, he's going to change, and that sometimes he's going to go to his cave. The mother tells her this. He's going to go to his cave, and when he goes to his cave, never go in, or you'll meet the dragon. So just leave him alone. So this is just human nature. It's always been that way. So what about the woman? She doesn't necessarily go to the cave, but she will later. Okay, she will later, just as the man will go to the cave, but he's peaceful unless you poke the dragon, then he becomes violent. All right, well, where does the woman go? Well, the woman starts out not going to the cave. The woman starts out when she starts to feel the stress response into, I don't trust you. I don't trust. And as destructive as it is for a man to go into, I don't care, it's that destructive to a man when a woman goes to, well, let me make sure I said that right. How, you know, as a woman, when he goes to FU, how hurtful it is. Well, that you have to know when you go to, I don't trust, I can't trust you, that has the same effect on a man in terms of getting to getting to a knife in his heart, so to speak. Is to
Wait,
go to a man with, I can't trust you. And just as men don't know what a blow it is to women to go into, well, so what? It's not a big deal. Who cares? It's not important. You see, that's always what I focus on most, is helping men. You know, when you have that reaction, what you need to do is listen more. You need to take more time to understand her more and so forth. And I tell women to keep men from going so far over to, I don't care, it's not a big deal, to just preface things, which is, you know, it's not really a big deal, but I like to talk for 5 minutes about what's going on at my job. I don't need you to fix anything. And the reason I said about my job is because it's so much easier for men to hear your feelings about other things other than him. The problem in relationships, and this is everybody, it happens to us because it's all automatic, it's automatic programming, is it's not safe for women to express emotion in the workplace, negative emotion. You know, you can't get angry, you can't express anger at somebody, you can't express frustration with somebody as oh, I'm so, you know, clients talking to, well, I'm so disappointed that you're not going to buy this. I really wish you would. You can't do that. You know, you can't show those emotions in the workplace because the workplace is not about you. It's about other people. You put yourself behind, you're in service in the workplace, which is a big fic. You know, our culture has become so narcissistic and now everybody thinks about themselves all the time. You know, it's, you got to find the right balance. Anyway, so the dynamic of when women push down their emotions in the workplace, they will come out. They have to come out. And when they come out projected onto their, generally speaking, if they're in a relationship, they'll come out projected onto their partner or a potential partner, because that's more intimate. That's someone you go to for support. That's a relationship where you can go to for, okay, what do you need, but what do I need? So when you get into a relationship where it's about me, and that's every relationship is about me and you, then what happens is those feelings come up, the charge, the actual, like electrical charge, an upset, and so we call it a charged language. Like right now, there's no charged language inside of me. When that woman said that horrible thing, you got charged up. Okay, so that was a huge assault against who you are, against what you believe, against someone you care about, and a message that you appreciate. Someone just throwing negativity out there. That's called being thin-skinned. And generally speaking, women should be more thin-skinned than men. Okay, that's a should. Uh, we're born. Look at Troy over there. He can show you his biceps. You know, there's muscle. Okay, that's what those muscles are about. Not just to carry heavy loads, but they make a lot of testosterone, and testosterone allows you to stay more on your male side. So you're not on your female side. The female side is open, no boundary. If you're pure yin energy, pure feminine energy, pure estrogen energy, it's very thin-skinned. Somebody looks at you the wrong way, it hurts. You're in touch with a more vulnerable part of you that needs love. So you don't let yourself be so open with everybody. But biologically speaking, you're going to be way more open than men. So you're going to be more affected by things than men. And when a man is in the workplace, generally speaking, he's solving problems. So that's what it's all about. He's being paid to be selfless and care about other people. So he's not going to have so much emotion to suppress. But women, you always have emotion, regardless. I mean, this is what some women are really locked over to their male side. But even still, biologically, they're having some emotional response. It's just not going to come out into her conscious awareness. Okay. I'm thinking of these really very independent entrepreneurial women in China that I meet. Here's an example. One comes up on stage, and I asked, well, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but basically I'm asking her, what's your job? And she owns 5 restaurants and she manages them all. I mean, can you imagine managing 5 restaurants? And I said, now, does that cause you any stress? She says, no. The only stress in my life is my husband. The only problem in my life is my husband. I go, there's just no way. See, she's completely oblivious. There's a denial mechanism that sits below her conscious awareness. And it's just simply, I don't feel what I feel. But those feelings are there because she has a female biology and she has estrogen in her body. And it's basically way more than any man could ever have, or at least a young man, we'll put it that way. Retired men often do have really high estrogen levels, but bottom line, she's got all this emotion that's not this in denial, but it's being poked at, it's being triggered. The trigger would be she's feeling pressure all the time, but she feeling it all the time, she doesn't even notice it. See, and so you say, well, don't you feel frustrated sometimes at work? She says, no. I said, well, what are some of the, China's having a depression right now, recession, and you're having to lay people off. And well, how do you deal with that? She deals with it just like a man. She goes, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, it's business. Well, that's what it is. Well, I can't change that. I can't change that. Oh, but guess what? I can change my husband, or at least I should be able to change my husband because he's my husband. He should change for me. So what happens is it's just simply called displacement in psychology. And most of you are familiar with that. But it's nice to have a context in gender. Women displace way more than men because women have way more emotion than men, whether they're aware of it or not. It's going to be displaced over there. So she comes home, and to the extent that she's suppressed dissatisfaction, frustration, disappointments, worries, concerns. I said to her, don't you have any concerns about paying the bills now with less people coming into the office? Yeah, I got to have this, this, and this, and this. But she doesn't feel it. It's more of an intellectual concern. It's not a felt fear, because what's inside of concern is you have big problems is fear. So that's going to all show up when she comes home. And she'll go into a place of displacing all of these suppressed feelings onto her husband. And one of them, and this is really, really strong in Chinese women because of the culture, It's strong everywhere, should be fair, but I say Russia as well, it's really strong too. And I'll give reasons for that. In China, they have this new capitalistic system. It's kind of like the Louisiana land purchase is when suddenly all this land became available and the Americans could go get free land. It's just kind of like, hey, it's Christmas. You can get a free home, free homestead. Let's all get out there, and they've got their wagons and everything. It's all an imaginary story, but still, that's what they tell. But you have to realize in China, it's like suddenly people are getting rich really fast. I mean, when their stock market happened, just took off. People are making huge amounts of money, and they're all driving Rolls Royces, and Shanghai looks like the city of the future. So you've got this very primitive culture close to the West and everything. Suddenly it just springs up. Everybody goes, it's Christmas time. I want more, I want more, I want more. So they become very materialistic, and they start comparing. That person has this, I don't have this, and whatever. And so the rhythm of life has completely been disturbed in the cities for them, and it's become very materialistic. Competitiveness, massive competitiveness, which shows up in women as when they're on their male side, their competitiveness shows up as jealousy, massive jealousy. I have fun watching Chinese movies because these historical Chinese movies that are fantasy kind of, always the women have so much jealousy. I mean, they just amplify this reality of what's going on, where women are constantly jealous of another woman and jealous of the situation. And it's cutthroat. Men are cutthroat too. They want power and whatever, but the jealousy in women is dramatic. It's comparing when people have so much more, and that's what's happening with TikTok and Facebook and the whole internet social thing happening, social media, is we see people at their best, or we see people at their most fake. They're all smiling, looks like they have no problems, nothing's going on, and only we who are the therapists or coaches know what really goes on in families. I mean, it's cutthroat. It's long. We see all, half the couples get divorced. Well, what happens before a divorce? Usually there's, World War II, maybe World War III. There's a lot going on under the surface. But when you see all the pictures, I look at my childhood pictures and you see our family, we're all smiling. Dad says, everybody smile. We all smile, but two people could be hating each other at that time. And people go on vacations. They could be jealous of each other. I have 3 daughters, so they have their issues with each other, and this is normal life. But when you see the picture, everybody's smiling. So we kind of think that is reality, that moment is everything. And that moment is not everything for anybody. We have this whole internal world, external world, problems exist. In Buddhism, one of the first stages of enlightenment is the recognition that life is suffering. We all suffer. And what we do as coaches is help people recognize their suffering, their blocks. We always have these blocks. And how to get released from the blocks is by looking at what's causing. And what's causing our suffering is emotional pain. And then by feeling our emotional pain, identifying it, giving words to it, and exploring what's inside, what's causing it, what thought am I having, what situation I'm having, just an awareness of how I'm creating my pain rather than the world is creating my pain. Because when we have that mindset, the world is creating my pain, then we can't we can't let go of our pain without having to change the world. And we can't. The world will always bring us suffering. That was Buddha's teaching. You can't get out of your suffering by trying to change the world, change outside, change your partner, change situations. If you're suffering, you need to realize that it's your resistance to the world that's causing that. You're trying to do the impossible. You're just climbing a hill and coming back down again, climbing a hill. How do you get out of your suffering is the second noble truth, which is the recognition that the cause of my suffering is what I'm thinking inside. I'm not willing to look at my thoughts, my reactions, as I'm responsible for them. So I'm the cause of them. And when you go to I'm the cause of them, you feel the emotion. See, emotions are actually pain. We don't usually think of it that way, but it's a nice context to go, when you're in pain, you feel frustration. When you're in pain, you feel anger. You know, the most dramatic common symptom is when you have a toothache, you just find you're irritable, right? I mean, you just can't be, you're really in pain. You have no patience for anything, okay? And that's what all of our emotions are, is they are the feelings of pain, and pain is our resistance to listening, to aligning with our soul. Okay, this is, you know, pain is the way the soul talks to you. And if you don't listen to your pain, listen to it like you listen to a child, then you suffer. You resist feeling your pain. That's what suffering is. And pain is your emotions. And when you know, when you're angry or you're sad or whatever, then when you feel, if you do feel your emotions, what your emotions do in the primitive brain, and they're a primitive part of the brain, what the emotions do is, and most people, you have to share this in the right context. You have to do it with delicacy. All negative emotions are manipulations. All negative emotion. We just have to know that. What is anger? Anger is, get out of my space. Anger is, I don't like what you're doing. Anger is, I'm trying to change you. And if you have no communication skills, which primitive people didn't have, think of us as kind of like intelligent monkeys, and somebody steps on your foot, how do you say stop? You don't have words to say stop. That's painful. So what we do is we growl, you know. I'm surprised my dog's not barking right now. She doesn't have language, so she'll bark, make noises. And that's what our emotions are. Anger is intimidating, to push people away, to get people to change, to threaten them. Sadness is to elicit in someone else their empathy. That they will not do that for you. It's very funny when I also bringing up these, I was just watching some Chinese movies, the ancient, I like them because they're always the historical ones, they're always using meditation. The good guys are always meditators, and they have all noble qualities always. We don't see that today, where that noble qualities or virtues are valued, but they do in those. And they're constantly contrasting the virtuous people who always shine and their clothes never get dirty and they can put their hands like this and energy shoots out and whatever. I'm a very energy oriented person. So it's fun to watch them because they're meditators. They all care about enlightenment. They care about love. They care about being virtuous. But you have to realize in the ancient days, we didn't have police. So their whole goal was, the whole martial arts thing was to go around and protect people from bad guys, because there's always bad guys somewhere. There's always good and bad in the world. And the way you take the bad out of your life as best you can, at least how it affects you, is to realize that, you know, one of the spiritual principles is what's within is also without. If I make changes within myself, the outer world changes. And when the outer world is negative, it's not like I necessarily caused that to happen, but that happened. It's a gift for me to see if I'm reacting to it in a negative way, then there's something inside of me that I can heal. Okay. Because, you know, if somebody says you're so stupid and you don't really think you're stupid, you don't get upset. Okay. Well, it's kind of a stupid thing to say. I've just written 25 books. I don't think I'm stupid about everything. So, you know, this is confidence. But if you don't have full confidence, somebody says you're stupid, you get upset, understandably. I'm thinking about Wayne, and one of the first things I wanted to say, Wayne, for you to know is that and sort of the growth, the expansion of Mars Venus back in the 90s, I never received a positive print interview. Never. All they did is slam me. They said I'm a sexist. They said it's foolishness. It's going back to the 50s. It's like turning back the clock. He has no credentials. He's a nobody. He's a fraud. He's a fake. You know, they even say I was had a gay relationship with a cult leader. Where that came from? Remember the cult where everybody died? You know, they all took the poison, and Jim Jones was his name.
Jim Jones.
One of the universities I went to was St. Thomas, and they said, and John Gray went to St. Thomas, and Jim Jones was a faculty member at that time, and they left the college around the same time, and he's suspected of having a homosexual relationship with Jim Jones. Just like
Wow.
where they get this stuff, you know, it just insane, ridiculous stuff. But anyway, but the point is, I think the thing that got me the most is when I was doing a really sort of a climactic moment in my career was 8 days at the biggest theater on Broadway, totally sold out. Everybody's trying to get tickets. It was a big, huge deal. It was after 5 years of being on the New York Times bestseller list. Finally, the New York Times did a review on me because they wouldn't even ever address me. But why, you say, what is this? Because there's a narrative in the world, which now you see so dramatic, that gender doesn't exist. And I'm over here saying gender is the most simple. The emperor has no clothes. Of course, men and women are different. Are you kidding? Women can make babies. Men can't. This is real stuff. And so this is where I developed all the hormonal differences, because nobody can dispute that. Okay, nobody can dispute that. If they still try. I was giving a talk the other day, and there was a university professor who was going to be speaking as well. He couldn't sit in his chair. He was so woke. Woke means he was living in this cultural world that men and women can choose whatever sex they want. And he was just so disturbed by my talk. And everybody else was
Wait, John. John. Can you guys, is he frozen on your end as well?
Yes.
Yes, he's frozen.
well, they want to negate the reality of hormones affect us, and that the hormones you produce are only based upon what you think. Did somebody want to say something? No. Okay.
No.
It's just like I try to figure out where is he coming from? He just couldn't get off of this idea that hormones affect your mood, or behaviors that you have, relationships you have, stimulate different hormones. He just couldn't accept that. He said, it's just what you think. It's your choice. You can choose to be feminine hormones, or you can choose to have masculine hormones. Okay, pal, live in your world. But I'll tell you what I did. It's always a good thing when you get a resistor. Is I say, well, thank you for the question. Please sit down. He wanted to just take over. He was so humiliated. I just had fun. I have a little devilish side. This university professor thinking he knows everything, standing in front of me, barking. And I said, okay, I heard your question. Now sit down. That was it. And I just moved on to the next. You can't entertain it. But I was going to mention the New York Times finally did a review on me, and USA Today did as well. And they said Gray had this big show, and they somewhere in it they were just not making a big deal out of it all. I forget what they said exactly, but except this one thing where they said, and it was so awful that people were booing and leaving. Okay, the person who left was them. Nobody else left. They got a standing ovation every night. But there was a place where people booed because they weren't booing at me. There was somebody in the audience who was saying stuff, and I was letting people talk a little bit, and they booed that person. But the newspaper article says, and they booed, and so many left. This was just, this is what they do. They twist things around. But why do they do it? They do it because two reasons. The main one is anyone who goes to universities to a great extent has been brainwashed to think that gender was not significant. And now we see the whole direction it was already going, which is literally there's no such thing as gender. You can pick your gender. You can choose your gender. They're even now doing this stupid thing, which is they're not reporting your gender at birth. They're not allowed to say you're a boy or girl on your birth certificate. This in some states in California. This is like craziness. And it's gone to insanity. There are evil forces in the world. There are good forces in the world, and we're the good forces. And our message becomes even more necessary, more relevant at a time where people are confused. But not everybody is going to be open to it. So I'm coming back to this idea of, I want to finish that one point about not trusting as where women go to when they feel threatened. And so here was this woman who was basically going through, I can't trust this guy, because she's in a stress state. And it's something that she doesn't really relate to. I'm being compassionate for a moment, because many women are way on their male side so they can't even relate to any of the examples I give. They just think that's my husband and I'm the man, and that's their reality. So if I'm over here saying, well, that's not the way you're designed to be, they feel that is a criticism. So they're very threatened by that. And they're usually very unhappy. Most people, in my experience, who are in role reversal, if they look happy, they're just pretending. And basically, what happens in the sheets is nothing, meaning in the bedroom, there's no attraction, there's no real intimacy. They're like brother and sister, and that's not a bad thing. I don't want to say be judgmental of it, because historically, all relationships eventually went to role reversal, because over time, men's estrogen levels naturally rise up, and over time, women's testosterone levels naturally rise up. And the only way you can continue to have sexual passion, which they've never had historically in our world, it's reality in my life, and many people in some people in modern days, they can keep the passion going, because when you look at attraction between men and women, and this is a unique Mars-Venus idea, which is, if you go to a therapist and you have no attraction in your relationship, you'll be taught that, well, you need new and different experiences. So you have date night where you go out and you do new and different things, or you go different places, take different courses. You know, these are things to stimulate newness in your life, because newness in your life produces dopamine. Attraction occurs in the beginning automatically because of the newness and the dopamine. But actually what causes the attraction is dopamine has the function of stimulating testosterone in men and estrogen in women. So it's not the dopamine that creates the passion. It's just that the dopamine creates more testosterone in men, more estrogen in women. That's a polarity. And like magnets, the positive pole goes to the negative pole and they attract. If the man becomes very, very feminine over time, I mean, he's not motivated anymore. He's too passive. He doesn't have any motivation. It's sort of the spark is gone in his life. That's because his testosterone has gone down and his estrogen levels will go high. And the woman, if she's basically no longer has this male energy to bounce off of and feel more feminine, like I can depend on him, I can trust him, I can get things from him. And trust is a tricky word. Trust doesn't mean you trust a man to be perfect. It means I trust him to drive the car reasonably well, so I'll let him drive. Okay, you could already see who's having sex and who's not by who's driving the car. Okay, now this isn't always true, but it's really quite true. If she's driving the cars because she doesn't trust him to drive the car, and she's been complaining to him for quite a while, giving driver's advice, and finally he says, well, if you want to drive, then you drive. So she's over there on her male side, and he's sitting up receptive on the female side, and the connection between them is disappearing over time. And so I always encourage men to drive in a way that makes women feel safe, but they should be the driver, unless it's like a long trip and you're just taking turns and so forth. But some women won't even let their husbands drive for them. I mean, they're going to do it. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a deal breaker. I'm just making a little point here, but it's allowing the man to drive puts you in a very feminine position. Whereas if you can feel safe while he's taking care of you, it's actually foreplay for great sex. He's on testosterone land, you're on estrogen land, where your life is dependent on him. But there has to be a good communication where if he's going too fast, you can say, what Bonnie would do is put her hand on the handle and I would immediately slow down. Yellow lights, I would always stop at him for her. But I made a big deal out of it. I put my hand on her thigh and said, look, and I did that for you. And she says, I know, and I appreciate it. It just became that little moment, which once again, I'm caring for her and she's appreciating and depending on me to feel at ease. So we create these situations as relationships have that polarity, because it's that polarity that can keep the attraction. If you don't have the polarity where men are pumping up way more testosterone than a woman, and a woman is pumping up way more estrogen than a man, she's not going to have it. And one of the obstacles, by the way, is I didn't know I was going to go this direction, but I'll say it anyway. It's just one of the big problems today when it comes to maintaining sexual attraction is that all of the sexual potency in a man diminishes over time because he's doing the porn thing. And the sexual potency in women will start to disappear as well because of that, because his energy is not looking at her. Okay, it's looking to somebody else. It's like your relationship is this great savings account. You do things for each other, and you feel more love and more appreciation and more history. It's like a big savings account. It's energy of security and safety and security and caring and loving and trusting. Okay, so you've got this bank account that's building up, and then he goes and has sex with somebody else, whether it's a real person or a fantasy person, doesn't matter. The energy just gone. And so it's like he just robbed money from the savings account. And what she'll do is not know why, but then she doesn't feel as much trust, as much juice, so much appreciation. The juice of it is just gone. The fully emotional feeling is gone. Now for her, then now over time, now what's been the case is women, either they're single or their husbands are off putting their energy somewhere else. They want to feel the aliveness of sex, and so they use a vibrator and they stimulate their clitoris. When you have a climax with your clitoris, you're draining yourself of your estrogen potency. Okay, this feminine radiance that you have as women gets drained, just like when a man ejaculates, a woman climaxes from her clitoris, she's going to lose that energy. Now, if she climaxes from her clitoris from his stimulation, at least her energy goes to him and it bounces back onto her. That's we mirror each other in sex. Like if a man ejaculates to his wife, the energy comes back as love. When a woman climaxes from her clitoris with her husband, at least energy comes back. However, the higher thing is not to climax from the, like what I'm teaching sex to men these days is not to ejaculate at all, and for women not to climax from the clitoris, but to become orgasmic from the vagina. Then the energy just stays, and her interest in sex is much more. She enjoys sex more. Her estrogen levels will be much higher. We don't have any long-term research showing that she'll live longer. We do know for men historically who don't ejaculate, they live longer. But we don't know historically when men practice that technique, their wives, they don't have history of wives living longer except for a few. And that's what they would do is they didn't have the capability of the intimacy we have now. And that's what I was about to get to, which is why we can have this sustained passion is one is that we can have conscious communication skills that will increase women's estrogen as the body naturally goes down in estrogen. Okay, so women naturally over time lose estrogen. Men naturally over time lose testosterone, unless we have tools to raise it back up, and then you have the attraction. And those tools are female vulnerability. Okay, female vulnerability, which is the self-awareness to be able to share and express the emotional vulnerability that people in previous generations did not have the capacity to do it. It wasn't that no one taught them to do it. See, it's very different from just being emotional and being upset at somebody. People could be emotional and upset, but they didn't have the awareness of not using the emotion to change somebody. So that's how I was getting to that, which is when you're in touch with emotions, all emotions are manipulations. If you're afraid, you're trying to get somebody to do something for you or get out of doing something. Well, I don't want to do that. I'm afraid. Okay. Fear has that mechanism. It also, another mechanism just kept you from doing dangerous things. But then in relationship, we learned how to manipulate with fear. If I'm afraid, you'll do it for me. If I'm sad, you'll have more empathy. If I feel bad, you'll have more trust that I've learned my lesson. I want you to apologize. You should feel really bad. If I feel really bad, somebody will trust me more for sure. So emotions, they're natural reactions, but then we start, as the brain develops, we start using them as tools to communicate other people to change. So when you use negative emotions in order to manipulate or motivate, nicer word, but It is manipulation to get somebody to change. Then basically you disconnect from your higher self completely. You basically, you're strengthening the wiring inside of your brain in order to have these emotional reactions, to intensify emotional reactions. So that's the whole idea, is we intensify the emotional reaction rather very peacefully say, that was frustrating to me, or I'm a bit angry about that. This is nice centered reactions where you're in touch with your feelings. And we develop that skill by not getting all charged up, by learning how to feel the charged up emotions without using that to change somebody. Now, what am I using it for? Well, I'm using it for, now I'm taking responsibility to change or to let go of my pain, my emotions. Remember, the second thing is suffering exists. What's the cause of suffering? Is I'm the cause of it. So now I'm generating these emotions. And if I'm generating them, then I have the ability to change my emotions. And that's the feeling letter technique, is if I can express what I'm feeling, then I can easily go from fear to feeling sad, or feeling sad, going to anger, or feeling bad. To be able to move from one negative emotion to another is developing a skill to move emotions. If you can move emotion, if you can move anger to you're afraid, because you can't be angry without being afraid. You can't feel bad without feeling sad. These are distinctions that we have the self-awareness to look inside ourselves and say, okay, I'm listening to me. People couldn't do that before. In order to listen to my emotions, I have to be both masculine and feminine at the same time. So this is the potential of the present day catastrophe of women thinking they're men and men thinking they're women. The reality is we have enough consciousness to be able to say, I have a masculine side and a feminine side. It's the masculine side that allows us to, in a sense, be detached from our emotions and feel our emotions at the same time. It's that detachment from our emotions while we feel them at the same time that allows us to feel an emotion without throwing it in somebody's face. So the detachment is like, I'm a loving parent listening to a child inside of me. And then that's your feeling letter technique, or that's when you're, when somebody's telling you, a coach, I'm upset about this, I'm bothered about this. They're not trying to change you. That's the only reason therapy helps people. Or maybe there's other reasons too, because we give wisdom and knowledge and a lot of other stuff. But when people are just talking about their feelings, they will feel better. And part of them feeling better is they're able to feel their emotions without trying to change you, because they're not upset with you. So that's what happens to the Chinese woman who comes home and says, my only problem is my husband. I'm telling this story because at one point in my own marriage with Bonnie, she wasn't happy. I said, honey, we have such a beautiful life. Why are you not happy? And she said, I have such a beautiful life. I'm so grateful for my life. She went on to all the great things in her life. My only problem is you. So that happened to me. So I got clear on, that's where I started developing Venus talks. And then that went away, because she was displacing all of her suppressed emotions from the day onto me. So once I could get her to express her emotions about, the frustration she was having with the accounting and with the employees and with the politics and what they're doing in the world, she had all this stuff going on inside of her. I would listen to that, and then she suddenly wasn't projecting everything onto me, and then miraculously our relationship got better. It was me listening to that, creating a space for that to come out. And that in itself was where I learned is a major estrogen producer for women. Because as we know, when women's estrogen goes up, if it's the right time of the month where it's supposed to go up, then there's no big deal. If estrogen goes up, and here's the problem, if estrogen goes up, but there's no stimulation that supports her feelings, meaning she's not feeling the center of attention for a little while, then she'll become very upset. So it's not just that estrogen going up makes a woman feel good. It's estrogen going up and her feeling supported at that time, because she needs to feel supported. And if she doesn't feel supported, if she's a young woman, because she's cycling, estrogen will still go up pretty much, but it won't go up as high as it could. And she's also not feeling supported. She's feeling more emotional. She's more in touch with what she needs. So when a woman is in touch with what she needs and what she needs is available to her, then her estrogen levels go to a very high level. And also her testosterone goes to a high level. And this is biologically proven in women's bodies. The higher their estrogen goes, not in every case, but biologically, when estrogen goes really high, then her body will make more testosterone. So that's why we can sustain passion. The potential to sustain passion is that as women learn to be more detached, be the observer, and feel their own emotions without using their emotions to change somebody. Then what happens, they're free from the grip of negative emotions, because negative emotions have a grip if we're not able to feel them and then move to another one and move to another one. You let go of the grip, and that will always lead you back to what it is that you really want. And that was the third noble truth that Buddha talked about, the recognition of suffering. You're responsible for suffering. Then how do you release the suffering? You release it by coming back in touch with what you want. Because we are, all the evolutionary force is desire. You know, I want to make the world a better place. I want to be a better person. What are my virtues? I want to be generous. I want to be cooperative. I want to be kind. Everybody wants that inside. That's our true self. That's the soul desire, the soul expression. And all negative emotions is how we block that soul expression. Every negative emotion is, instead of I want to be loving, it's I don't want to be loving. Okay. So,
Questions? You want another one?
how much time do we have, Rich?
We have 30 minutes.
Okay, so
I
a real quick
promised Talina because you had something at 12.
Okay, we have well, that's 11:30. We can go to 12. Oh, you can't, right? You're already scheduled up.
I can. No.
Okay. All right, I got it. Okay. Um, so I'll finish that point, which is a nice little distinction, a big long story, lots of details. But it's when men go into I don't care, it's the same thing as when women go into I don't trust. And what you do when you don't trust, one of the expressions of I don't trust is you ask too many questions. From the man's point of view, you ask questions. And from another point of view, you want him to ask questions of you. You don't realize how annoying it can be to a man when you ask questions like, why did you do that? And why would you, when are you going to do this? And, you know, this has an extra edge to it that you would not know as a woman, just like a man does not know the extra edge it produces when you kind of make light of things. Well, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. That's offensive to the female sensitivity. Well, when women go into doubting and mistrusting and asking more questions, so you can buffer that. You can say, you know, I'm sure you're doing the right thing here. I just need a few details. I can relax. You know, it's just something playful with that. But you just know that's always a sensitivity that you will tend to go to. And when you're at a certain point, when you go into mistrust, the first thing is you want to ask a lot of questions, and all your negative emotions will come from mistrust. If you're really fully trusting, you feel very positive. But when mistrust comes up, and then when it becomes really out of balance, where there's a lot of, I have to protect myself because I don't trust, then you go into your extreme male side and you go into full detachment. And that's usually where women are when they're ready to end a relationship, is I have nothing left to give. I have no feelings for him at all. And it's a long road back if you want to make it work. And I suggest see if you can, because it's just getting in touch with the resentments that are there, the feelings of rejection, process them, feeling the resentments, and just coming back to opening the heart again. But it's a process. It doesn't just happen right away. Whereas a man, if he's detached, he'll come right back. That's the men go to their cave and come out. Okay. So there was another question. Let's see what it is.
This is interesting. What do you do as a woman to lower the estrogen in a man to become more men than woman? Because to lower the testosterone, a man can help a woman to let her talk about everything in her life. So it's like the opposite of a Venus talk.
So the question, shorten the question down if we can. Rich.
Anya, do you want to ask yourself if you unmute?
Yeah, we put too much words in there. Just simplify it. So.
The simple question is, how can a woman make a man more masculine? So that he isn't that not masculine, but that he is more man
Is
inside
this
him.
you? Is this you with your relationship?
Yes, a bit.
Good. Good. Let me process your feelings, because that's what you do. Is on a behavior level, you don't ask questions. Okay, you don't listen when he's talking. Don't show much interest. Okay, and I got to go to the bathroom or go somewhere else. Don't put a lot of empathy at all into when he's talking or sharing. Because see, what women do is they give what they want, and it's natural manners. So because you want someone to be empathetic to you, when he's there, you'll be empathetic to him. So you go into empathy with him. So that's the behavioral change. Don't listen and but the other side of it is you have to go over to your female side more. You have to out female him. Okay. And what it means to out female him is I'm assuming that when you're not feeling his masculinity, you're feeling he's kind of like whining. Is that what, would you say that? Does he complain a lot? What is it?
A bit, but also not doing things.
Okay, right. So he's not doing things. So if he's not doing things, you have to be asking for help more often. But more importantly, I'm telling you, this is the energetics of a relationship, is you have to connect more with your female side. Now, female side does two things. One, it talks way more. It is asks for help more, ask for help without criticizing, not without complaining. A lot of asking for help, a lot of asking for reassurance. Do you know the reassurance exercise?
No.
Do you know the
I
genie in
don't-
the bottle, genie in the bottle exercise?
No, not yet.
Okay, that's all right. The reassurance exercise is one thing. The genie in the bottle is another. I'll briefly explain them. These are real simple things, and they really, really work. But the third thing is I need to check you out and process your feelings. How do you feel when he's passive? And I need you to express your frustration. I want to hear you say, I feel frustrated when, and give me examples.
I feel frustrated when he says he's gonna do something, but he doesn't.
Thank you. What else?
I feel mad when I asked him a thing to do and he said he will do it. And after a while, it didn't happen. And I ask it again, and yeah, it stays doing nothing.
I didn't know that also.
And continue. What else? You feel frustrated? Actually, you hate it. I hate it, and I hate him sometimes.
Yes,
I hate
indeed.
he's so lazy. I hate he says he's gonna do it, he doesn't do it. He said he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that. It makes me so angry. I'm angry. I'm angry at my husband. I'm angry. He's so lazy. He's a bum. He doesn't do
I
what he
also feel
has to do.
neglected.
Yes, okay. I'm angry. I feel neglected. I'm not important. I feel like I don't matter. I'm angry. But see, when you say things like, I feel I don't matter, that's important. That's what you feel. But then you got to give your brain needs an example. I feel like I don't matter. I asked him to put this here and he didn't do it. I asked him to go to the store and buy this and he didn't do it. You can't just say, if you really want to process emotions, you can't just go, I ask for things, he doesn't do it. That's as a coach, you then say, well, let's look at examples. What, give me the details of it. You asked for what and you didn't get it. Give me another example. I want 5 examples from you, Anya, right now of specifics of what you asked for that he didn't do.
To to put the dishes away.
Okay, I asked him to push the dishes away and he didn't do it. He sat there. I need a picture so I can totally go into your world. And that's how your brain has to process it. Okay. So I asked him to put the dishes away. He didn't. Now, was that him responding to your request, or you made a general request? Would you always put the dishes away?
Can you repeat that question again?
2 things. One is I asked him, my wife says to me, John, would you put the dishes away? And I didn't. That's one thing. That's an event. Another thing is I asked him to always put the dishes away. That's a different thing. And he doesn't always put the dishes away. Which is it?
It's the first one.
Okay, it's an event. That's good. Because whenever you get into always and those things, that you can't process that. You need to be specific. Your brain can't let go of a always or he never does. It needs to now come down. You can start with he never does the dishes, okay? Then you go, yesterday, I'm angry. I asked him, he didn't do it. Okay, what else did he? I want 5. That's one. That's a good one. Just say, I'm angry that I asked him to put the dishes away and he didn't. Say it.
I asked him yesterday to put the dishes away and he didn't.
Okay, that's good. Yesterday was even more improvement. Okay, next.
He told me that he was going to fix a problem in the house.
What problem?
I don't know how to say that in English.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Okay, no, I appreciate your
It has
efforts.
something to do with the tiles. And it didn't happen yet. So
Okay. Okay. And what did he say? He said he'd do it right away, or he said, I'll get to it?
I'll get to it.
Yeah. So I hate it when he says, I'll get to it, because he never does. That's
No,
just-
because it's still 2 years.
It's 2 years. Okay. So now, how many times have you asked him?
I stopped asking him after a year, asking it him
And you're still
once a
holding
month.
you're still holding on to it a year later. Okay, so just be aware of that. You see, your brain kind of goes, okay, wait a second here. He's completely forgotten about it. And yes, you ask for something, and you can sometimes ask for things and people will not do it. It was too much for him to do, whatever reasons there are. Since I don't know the details, I can't give you more information on that. But yeah, my partner can ask me to fly over the house. Okay, certain things I'm not going to be able to do. Like, for example, a simple thing. Bonnie would say, would you turn out the light in the living room? I'm in the living room here. Well, you see my house, I'm walking through sometimes at night. I turn on the light. I go into the kitchen. I leave the light on. I'm going to walk back. But she comes in, you left the light on. You don't have to turn the light on. She throws a big upset about that. For years, I never did. I didn't change. I tried to change, but I didn't change because part of it was the way she asked. So after years of her resentment around this, because little things become very big.
Okay. So
You know the story how she got me to change? She gave me a big smile one day and she said, I've noticed that you've been turning the light out. And I just want to remind you how much I enjoy it or how good it makes me feel. And it's not a big deal, but sometimes you forget. And she walked out of the room. See, there's a finesse in training your partner how to respond to your requests. Your husband doesn't have the idea in his brain that if I do stuff right away for my wife, she's going to be so much happier. See, all he gets is, I won't say you're unhappy all the time, but he gets a wife who's resenting that he doesn't do
he's
stuff.
a whining wife.
That's a whining wife. You can't ever whine to your husband. Otherwise, it sucks the energy right out of him. It sucks the energy right out of him. It's amazing how this happens. You can't imagine it. It's just like when he doesn't do stuff for you, it just sucks the love right out of you. You just feel like, can't depend on him for anything. And if you really go into your emotions, I'm angry. I don't matter. I ask him to do this. He doesn't do this. And so when you're feeling stress inside of you, your brain will start looking for reasons. He doesn't do this. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. So writing it out is helpful, which is what we're doing verbally in a coaching session. So that's a second. That's something 2 years ago you asked for, he hasn't done. Okay, so all right. So there's certain place where you just have to accept certain things aren't going to happen. But you can also look at how can I change my asking skills so that he likes to do this stuff. So give me 3 more examples.
To put the clothes into the basket instead of next to the basket.
Yeah. So Bonnie trained me on that one. But anyway, if you're processing feelings, I just feel so frustrated. He still doesn't put clothes in the basket. He expects me to do everything. I'm tired of doing everything. I feel like I do everything. It makes me so angry that I have to do everything. Can you relate to that?
Yes, I can really relate to that.
Okay, so
I
this
think
is
every woman on this call can, John. Every single one.
And that's why I asked, because you told in this session, you said when a man has too much estrogen in him, he lays back, he doesn't do a thing, he watches TV, he stays in the sofa, so he doesn't do a thing. And that's when I asked, how? Okay, so a man has too much estrogen. How can you reverse the process? So what can a woman do to reverse the process? So it's by writing down a feeling letter.
Well, that's one. That's one. It's just,
Yes.
I think we all felt better when you said, yes, I don't matter. I hate it. He doesn't do anything. You know, you have to, that's just cleaning out the blocks inside of you. Okay,
Yes.
that's one thing. That's the emotional side of this. So we got 3 in there. But, you know, I see him sitting there watching TV. I hate him. He's a lump on the log. What happened to the man I married? I feel so angry. Then you would go into, I feel sad and disappointed. You know, you have to
Indeed.
say again.
Indeed. I
Yeah.
feel disappointed and sad, and also sad for him.
Don't feel sad for him. That's your mistake. You're training him to be feminine that way. You should feel
Okay.
sad for you. Don't feel anything for him in that way. Men hate people feeling sorry for them. It weakens us. We don't need that empathy when we're away on our female side. That just puts us further on our female side. So don't feel sad for him. Feel sad for you, but you're processing, and not like you're going to live in this place of sadness forever and it's all his fault. No, it's your fault. You feel sad, but it's not a fault really. It's just you have a lack of acceptance of reality. Okay, your unhappiness, your suffering, so to speak, is your lack of acceptance of this is the way it is, and I want more. And why we need Mars Venus coaching is we also have to give hope to women and men. How can you get more? Because you can, but you have to first, on this situation, process your feelings of I feel sad, I feel like I don't matter, I feel like he didn't care about me. And the reality is, of course, he cares about you. He goes to work every day, doesn't he?
Yes. Yes, he does.
You think he doesn't care about you? Of course he loves you. He's doing,
Yes.
but
He
what
goes
happened,
work.
you have basically feminized him, okay, by feeling sad for him, by not asking for more, and by staying stuck in this resentment inside. Boy, when a woman resents a man, there's just no energy at all. It's amazing to me is when my wife is saying what an amazing guy I am, I want to make love. I made love 3 times last night, okay, just because she was so excited because I spent 3 hours doing something with her, and she was really, really appreciative. She was so grateful. I don't normally make love 3 times in the night. It was just, she had so much love, it just brought out my masculinity, and otherwise I would be sleeping. Okay, so you have this huge power, but you can't access the power unless the one side of it is you process the emotions, and underneath the sadness, which you express some of the sadness, it is so sad, is fear. And so what's the fear? Go deep inside, express the fear.
The fear is he leaving me, or also me leaving him.
Hard to say that, isn't it? So I'm afraid it's never going to get better. I'm afraid he could leave. I'm afraid I could leave him. I'm afraid my whole life will change. I don't want that to happen. I don't even want to say that. I want to utter that, but I can't take it anymore. I just feel like there's no love here. I want to love somebody. I want to be loved by somebody. So now we did, and then because you have the Mars Venus knowledge, you can also express your regret. I wish that, and say what I regret. I feel sorry that. I'm sorry it's come to this. I regret that we're not feeling connected. We're not feeling in love. I want that. Do you see how regret can bring up what you're really wanting? Try saying those phrases.
Yes.
Say-
I want that. I want to connect with him. I regret that there is not the love that it was in the beginning.
Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
I feel bad. I feel bad.
Yeah, I really feel bad. And I also know that it is a part of it all is a fault of mine. We
Nicely
both
said.
have a part in this.
So if you were writing a feeling letter, now what you would say in the feeling letter, so we'll imagine you're talking to him now and just say, I'm sorry that, and take responsibility for your side of it. The only thing I know you do, I'm sorry that I complain so much or I whine. Okay, you can start with that. But just looking at your side, clearly he's part of the problem, no doubt about it. But just look at your side. I'm sorry that I'm withholding my love. I'm sorry I don't
I
feel the
am.
way you feel. I'm sorry I don't trust you. Sorry I can't get turned on to you. I'm sorry I'm not feeling appreciate what you do.
Yeah. And the strange thing is, I follow your vision still since I was 17. I'm 40 now. So it's your vision, John, that kept me keep going, and but it's not always so easy to follow.
No, it's not easy to follow, but it's also you're not doing the work. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But you did great today. You were right there, Anya. Come back to just express what you want. Just I heard all the negative. Now shift to the positive. Let's go to what is it I'm wanting, and let me hear 3 or 4 wants that you want. I want to make this relationship work. I want to put this into practice. That's why I'm Mars Venus coach. I want to have a better relationship myself. I want to be forgiving. I want to figure out how to solve this problem. Try saying all that, because that's what you're underneath it all.
Yes, indeed. I want to have more love between my husband and me. I want to be also a better coach by being also the example. I want to be a better wife to my husband. I want to make more love.
Yeah. Okay. So good. So now that's what I want. And then what you go to what I'm grateful for. Let me hear what you're grateful for, what makes you happy.
I'm grateful for being him. I'm grateful for him listening to me. I'm grateful for him to be in my life. I'm grateful to be part of the Mars Venus coaching. So yeah.
Okay, so that's a short feeling letter, and that's what you can do with your clients is move them through this stuff. But sometimes we're afraid to go into people's negative emotions. They're never going to get out of it. That's our fear. And you just say, now shift to feeling gratitude, appreciation. And here's a key phrase to use. I want you to say this phrase, Anya, which is right now in my life, I'm in the process of, and complete the sentence. It might look like I'm in the process of really putting these ideas into action. I'm in the process of helping people have better relationships. I'm in the process of being an example. I understand people's problems, so I can help them even better. So try saying something like that. I'm in the process of.
I'm in the process of being a better example for my kids. Also, I'm being in the process of being a better wife. I'm in the process of being more myself. I'm in the process of being a better coach. And also, I'm in the process of being the coach who went through it.
Yes.
All that my clients also will.
Okay. Let's give her a big round of hands. We'll give you a big hug as well. Okay, now that's just a feeling letter. Now I have a few more minutes left. 3 techniques. Now you're new to this, so these are 3 new techniques. They weren't in any of my books, and over the years you figure out, okay, where people don't seem to get it, how can we find this balance? Because I want you to know that the world is so messed up right now in terms of gender confusion. Okay, this is happening everywhere. Everybody could relate to the lazy husband, the overwhelmed woman. That's like, I feel like I don't matter, whatever. So this is the big thing in the collective consciousness right now. So what your job is at this point to bring out the best of him so he can help bring out the best of you. So think about the order I said. Your job is to bring out the best of him so he can bring out the best in you. Okay, because really you're vulnerable. If I'm hungry, I need to be fed before I can feel satisfied. Your satisfaction is to a great extent dependent upon you to get him to do something of meaningfulness to you that's workable. Okay, so maybe he's never going to fix that thing in the house, but that's just a little thing. It's the emotional issue is what we're dealing with here. And this is what all women are dealing with on the planet right now. We've shifted from just depending on men for things. We need to depend on men for emotional support. And so the emotional support looks like this. the first technique is genie in the bottle. You say to him, honey, I know you've worked really hard today. I know you're tired. I know you're watching your favorite show. When you have a chance, I need your help. Okay. It will take about 10 minutes. I need your help. It will take about 10 minutes. And then what you do is for 10 minutes, you ask him to help you with something. So that whatever it is, I'm putting away dishes. Would you help me put away dishes? You want to function, you want to promote the idea of helpfulness. This is a virtue. This is what relationships are all about. It's the essence of relationship is we help each other. But more importantly, it's the essence of what masculinity is about, is I'm here to help someone. And you're here as a woman to help someone who depends on you, a child. If you're helping a man, you're the mother. If he's helping you, he's the hero and you're the happy wife. So you don't help him, you help your children. He helps you help the children. He helps you by helping you feel more energy, more aliveness, more support, so you can give more to your kids. Your happiness is the greatest gift to your kids. So I need your help. So honey, when you get a chance, he'll say, what is it? Oh, I'll tell you when you have time. So you wait, you don't put the dishes away. You say, would you help me put the dishes away? And in the beginning, you might even join with him to help put the dishes away. You're in a 3-year training program of training him to learn that doing little things for 10 minutes has a big impact on you. See, that's the whole thing, is that he doesn't know that if actually I went and did those things on the dishes, that it would really make my wife happy. He doesn't know that. And maybe at this point, it wouldn't make you happy. So you should pretend to be happy if he doesn't. Okay. Make it till you make it. But ultimately, if you don't have all this resentment build up and you say, honey, would you help me with the dishes? And he says, yeah. And suddenly now you're going to feel, oh, it's so nice. He's helping with the dishes. If you're in a more traditional relationship, I have to remember that for some women, well, he should be doing the dishes. I cooked the meal. Okay. But however you've worked it out, it's just, if you have something you need help with, you ask for that. It has to be something small and a little window of time. Now that's one way. Another way is, I need your help when you have a chance. It will take about 5 minutes, or start with 5, sometimes 10. Give them a time limit. Men can find the energy if there's a limited amount of time. That's a key factor. He doesn't have the energy. I can't see where you went. Where did you go? Oh, there you are. It changed. So if I know something is only going to take 5 minutes or 10 minutes and it's going to make you happy, it'll help me a lot. Would you do this? And would you help me with this? So you made a request when you have time. I know you're tired, but he's going to go, well, what is it? What is it? You just say, no, when you're ready, I'll tell you. So just keep him wondering. He'll say, okay, what is it? I'll do it right now. Because he wants to get over the misery of thinking I have to stop doing what I'm doing. Okay. It has nothing to do with how much he loves you. It's just, he's in a sedentary place. You know how hard it would be for you when you're feeling overwhelmed for me to say, hey, just relax and sit down. You just can't do it. Okay. Well, he's feeling relaxed. You can't say, get up and do something. But what you can do is you say 5 minutes. First, you don't say 5 minutes. You say, would you help me? When you have time, would you help me? And he'll say, sure. And he might forget. Then you would see he goes to the bathroom. Would this be a good time? You're training him that you can ask. It only takes 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And that's all we're talking about. For most of these problems that he's not doing, it's 5 or 10 minutes. But the most significant is the amount of stress that you're carrying in your life. I don't know what it is, so we don't have time to go into it, but you need to be able to talk about that when it's not him. See, and that's the thing we talked about before. He said, he says, so what is it? How can I help you? He said, I just want to talk about my day because sometimes I feel disconnected from you. And really, I don't need you to say anything. I don't need any advice from you. It's just, I want to say what's happening today, and then I'll feel really good. You have to throw that in. I'm going to say what's happening and I'll feel really good. It will only take 5 minutes, or maybe as you grow with that, it won't take 10 minutes. And when you do it, try to express an emotion occasionally, like it was frustrating or I was so concerned. And see, whenever you say an emotion, men connect. If you just tell the story, we just get bored. Okay. But if you have an emotion in it, where you actually say the emotional, rather than being all emotional, you're just having a conversation, but I was so frustrated. I was going here. I was disappointed. I thought this. In the beginning, his tendency is going to be, well, why be disappointed? It's no big deal. Or frustrated. You'll say, oh, you should be frustrated. Everybody goes through that. He'll rationalize everything if you let him say anything, but don't let him say it. Don't listen to him. And if he starts to say something, no, I don't need to hear anything. I just need to talk about it. It's kind of like, I need to open up and come give me a hug when I'm done, and I'll feel really good. So you give it a success story every day. There's a, like I said, not that every day you do it, but it could be. You did the Venus talk, which I just talked about. You ask him to do something for you. You do, I don't know, are you doing 4 hugs a day? Yeah, these are little things. I'm telling you, they're really important for women's hormones. Women's reality is little things consistently produce a high level of estrogen, not big things. You can get 50 roses, our basic idea, you'll get a surge of estrogen. 1 rose will produce a surge of estrogen. 1 rose several times in the month, it will get a more estrogen. So it's like little things. He has no idea of this. And so you have to ask for that. So you say, I really love the hugs. I've read about it. I remember we used to do hugs. I'm a Mars Venus coach now. I'm teaching people to give 4 hugs a day. Can we try that? I'd really like that. First thing in the morning, when you leave for work, when I leave from work, and we come back together, a hug. We just make it a priority. And then you have to say, oh, these hugs feel so good. Oh, I like that hug. Oh, that's so nice. He needs the encouragement because why are we doing that? You should know I love you. So that's the another one of our simple structural things that put it into action. Another one is the genie in the bottle. It's another game to play, which is the setup is we're going to do a little process. I'm teaching my people in my coaching, and I really like to try it myself. It's for 5 minutes. You're the genie and I rub the bottle, which means I ask for help. And for 5 minutes, you're going to do whatever I say, and I'm not allowed to do anything except enjoy your help. So it might be I ask for a foot massage, or I ask you to clean up the kitchen, or I ask you to go empty the trash, or anything. I just need to practice. In the game I play, I ask and you do. Would you take off my socks? And now would you put the massage oil on? Would you run and get the massage oil? All these little things actually stimulate this estrogen hormone. And I'd like to try it out because you're Mars Venus coach. This is what I'm teaching people to do. Can we do that? That would be really fun. It will only take 5 minutes. Eventually you wanted to get to 10 minutes. So what you're doing is he's actually and he's going to resist it, because men resist doing little things. They don't resist things that will pay a lot of money. Okay. So if I say to him, look, this is going to give you $50,000, he'll have a ton of energy to do it. Okay. So he doesn't know that these little things are $50,000 to you. That's your job. And it's not like you have to fake it so much, just like, oh, that feels so good. I really like that. Oh, that was so nice. It's just an acknowledgement or response. That's something that he needs from you to train him that doing little things actually gives me energy because it makes you happy. He doesn't know that. Men don't know that. It's up to, and women don't always know it either. And they sort of have, besides not knowing it, they don't know that the fact that when he stops doing these things, she thinks, oh, he just doesn't love me. No, he stops doing it because he's not getting the request. He will always need the request. Okay, that's just the dynamic of it. And you kind of do, how long do I have to keep asking? I say, you're going to have to keep asking until asking becomes an enjoyable experience for you. It's a way to show love for him, because when you ask, you're giving 100% trust. There's nothing more trusting to ask somebody. And then the final exercise we do is the reassurance exercise. It takes a little while to create a context for this, but it's to be able to say to your partner, honey, I know you love me, and I know you care about me, but sometimes I like to hear it. It's kind of like John Gray, my teacher, because you are a Mars Venus coach, you could do it this way. He gives a talk, everybody loves it and they clap. But what he says is, now, if you really love it, stand up and give me a standing ovation. And if they stand up and give a standing ovation, of course, I like it more. Okay. I get to really hear the response. So, and of course, I know they like it, they enjoy it, whatever, they paid for it, they come back again. But hearing it makes you feel even better. And I know you love me, but when you say you love me, it actually feels really, really good. It's not that I doubt your love, even though you really do. you say, I don't doubt your love. I know you love. It's an intellectual concept. We're married. We love each other. We're together. We love our kids. We want to stay together. Okay. So I know you love me, but I like to hear it. So we're going to play a little game, which is every day at some random point, maybe after a hug, one of the 4 hugs, I'm going to say, do you love me? You're the woman. I'm being you now. I'm going to say, I'm going to have to role play this, get it clear. The woman says, do you love me? And he says, yes, I love you. And then the woman says, how much do you love me? And then you say, I love with you with all my heart. And then you say, are you happy to be married to me? And he says, I'm happy to be married to you. So that's a starting out point. You can do a lot more things like, do you still think I'm beautiful? Are you still turned on to me? But you start with the easy ones. Now, what's so interesting about this is you're giving him the script, and you just say it. And he might go, why do I need to say it? I already do so much, blah, 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 blah. Just say, I know, you're right. And it just feels good. It's like if I have a sore muscle, would you give me a little massage? That's all. So it's all fake in the beginning, and it becomes very, very real very, very quickly. Because when a man says something, because he's got a script, you say, do you love me? He says, yes, I love you. When he says, yes, I love you, he's putting his stake down. He's putting his word into the atmosphere, into the environment, and now he has to be right. That's why I said in the beginning, when men are arguing, if she's not saying you're right, stop talking, because he'll defend, he'll argue. You know, you can't give your idea to someone who's resisting you. You'll now have to defend your idea, and men will defend it 10 times more than a woman. And he will start to actually feel the love that he says he has for you more. Because you see, throughout the day, I'm busy working. I'm not necessarily feeling the love for my children right now. But if I was with my children, I would say, I see those little pictures of my grandchild, all this love comes out. I love the child. I don't feel anything right now. So you have to bring his attention to that part of him that loves you. And then it amplifies because he said it and you enjoyed him saying it. You didn't say, oh, you don't really love me. Oh, you don't really feel it. No, you just make it. Just say, do you love me? And then he says, yes, I love you. How much you love me? How much you love me? He says, with all my heart. And are you happy you married me? I'm so happy I married you. Boom, just say those words and those feelings will follow. Particularly for men, you do the action and the feeling follows. For a woman, she opens up. Now, see, you're doing the big thing here. It's not him saying, I love you. That's not going to do much. It's you saying, do you love me? And then him responding with, yes, I love you. If he just says, I love you, like one couple I counsel to do this, he said, but I tell her I love her all the time, and it has no effect at all because she has to open up. See, it's a scary thing to say, do you love me? That's why you set it up as a little act, your little scripts here. So you're actually saying the words, becoming at ease with the words, and the love will start to increase. He'll start to feel his love for you. These are little 5-minute things that make a world of difference. So Anya, thanks so much for sharing your feelings today. Did you get a lot out of this little coaching session? Okay, good.
And I think everybody else did too. Listening the way you do a feeling letter in a session, just in a discussion, was amazing. I can do more of that.
Yeah,
John,
yeah.
I want to thank you so much for your time today. Everybody coming here. I know there's a lot of questions we didn't get, but I'll save them for next time, or I'll talk to John about them offline. But I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and an amazing 2024 with John.
I agree. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and let this next year be an explosion. And very quickly, I have the news that Rich is going to send you a link. I don't think you can get it from other countries, but finally my super minerals has come out. It's called Elemental Orotates, and it's got all these ingredients that lower stress. Those of you who have taken my course, now you can buy it at Amazon. If you go to Amazon, Mars Venus Supplements, you'll go to my store, and our first product is for men and one for women. And it's mind-blowing. It's so good. And I've got a whole lineup of more products to help people. But it's specifically designed to help produce the hormones with extra ingredients in it that will help produce the more estrogen and testosterone for men. So it will be real helpful for those that can get it. I don't think you can get it from Europe and all these other places, but if you're in America or you have friends in America, they can send it to you. It's the new John Gray.
Let me know if you need that. I'll arrange it for you. But John, I know you have fans all over the world, but none bigger fans than are on this call. We are your
Yeah.
biggest fans.
I want to underline,
Yeah.
Rich just said he'll buy it for you if you order it from Rich. Rich said he'll do it for you. You should get those. Rich already becomes the coach distributor. You got to
Thanks,
ask
John.
him though. He won't do it unless you ask. He just said he'd do it. So now you
I would
got
do it.
power.
You got to ask. Everybody, Tess, it was great to see you. Everybody have a wonderful New Year's, and we'll see you in a year.
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you,
Finish
everyone.
clapping.
Thank
New Year's
you.
clapping.
Bye.
Thank you, John.
Whoosh.
Not in
They're
a
all
year,
on
but
mute.
next year.
Okay. Yeah, next
We'll
year.
see
we'll
everyone next year.
Okay, Happy New
Yes.
Year. Bye-bye.
Bye, Lena. Bye,
Bye-bye.
John. Bye, Mitzi. Bye, Anya.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Eva.
Bye.
Bye.